Welcome to MBL Studios. My name is Alex Silvers, and I'm alongside with my co-host James Irvin and Trip Duma. Today, we're going to be talking about our NFL 2024-25 standings. Now, James, Trip, I know we previously did our season predictions, and how do you guys think the AFC North is going to wrap up?
Ooh, just kicking things off with the best division in football.
Yeah.
You want to get right into this. It's a tough division to predict. I don't know about you guys, but honestly, this was the toughest division to predict going through. It's just so competitive. But I have the repeat champion. I have Baltimore walking away at 13-4.
13-4.
Okay.
I have 12-5 for Baltimore, but they do also win the division.
I also have 12-5 for Baltimore, and
they win the division?
Same thing. Yes,
Yeah.
based on tiebreaker, they do win.
Game difference. I just think I'm going 4-2 in division. They lose one to Pittsburgh, lose one to Cincy. I think they sweep Cleveland. I think that might be where our main differences come in.
Yeah, no, I have them going 3-3 in the division. I think the whole division splits besides the Steelers and the Bengals. I have the Steelers sweeping the Bengals this year. I just think Mike Tomlin's got their number.
I could see it happening. Trip.
What about you?
Who are your losses?
What's your...
My losses for the Ravens, my first loss for them is in Week 1 to the Chiefs. I have them losing away at Cincinnati, away at Cleveland, and then I have them losing on one of my upset picks for this entire thing is Jim Harbaugh beating John at home.
I also have that pick, Jim.
And then I have
I do not have that one.
That's understandable.
I just think that's like that's
it just
one
makes
that
sense.
It could
it's a
happen.
storyline
Yeah,
upset.
it's a storyline.
And so I feel like it fit. But I'm not gonna get upset with you for not having that. And I also have them losing on the road at Houston.
I have Kansas City getting the job done in Week 1. Outside of the other division losses, I think it's just the Texans that get them in week 17.
Okay.
I think the Texans get it done. But
yeah, out of the division, I just have the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh and the Texans.
I think when you look at Baltimore's offseason, I really like their draft pick, their first-round pick in Nate Wiggins. I think that's going to be a huge boost to a defense that lost Patrick Queen. So I think when you're looking at that, it's kind of half good match there, but Baltimore ultimately I felt got worse defensively with the loss of Patrick Queen. It's going to be hard to match that, but I think on offense, I think they got better. With adding Derrick Henry.
You don't get worse when you add the King.
I mean, the King, yeah. King Henry out there. It's the scariest backfield in all of football. Like, you either want to have a highlight juke made on you, or you want to just get run through by Derrick Henry. I mean, the ground game for Baltimore is going to be unstoppable this year, I think. And then throw in a defense that, yes, they did lose Patrick Queen, but you're still going to have Roquan Smith back there. Adding Nate Wiggins in there,
best linebacker
Marlon
in the league
Humphrey,
right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, him.
Inside
Warner.
Inside linebacker.
Fred Warner, I think.
Fred Warner deserves a shout.
I think Fred Warner's got him beat there.
Yeah.
But on the defense, they re-signed Justin Matabuke, so they got business done. Joe Chirish, not him, Odafe Owe out there on the defensive line as well. So, just, again, a lot of talent around the Baltimore defense. I think it leads them to not the 1 seed, the 2 seed.
Yeah. In my opinion. What about Trip? Who do you have coming second in that division?
Once again, a tie. The Browns at 12-5.
The Browns at 12-5.
Yes,
okay.
They losses to the Jaguars week 2, Eagles week 6, Steelers week 14, Bengals week 16, and Ravens week 18.
Okay, I have the Steelers at 11-6. I actually have the rest of this division going 11-6.
Okay,
that's kind of crazy in itself. But the fact that the Cleveland at 12-5, Trip.
I mean, do you think they're going to lose to the Giants, Raiders, or the Commanders?
I have them going 9-8.
9-8.
I have Cleveland going 9-8.
Let's look at Cleveland real quick. I have Cleveland getting third in the division.
Well, I think Cleveland drops week 1 to Dallas. I think they drop week 6 to Philly.
Week 1 to Dallas at home. That's a scary one. I mean,
I think Dallas gets it. I think off a bye, Philly takes it.
Yeah, I have that one.
In week 6. I think they also lose to Baltimore in week 8. I think Denver.
Away from home, okay.
I think Denver upsets them on Monday Night Football.
Even though they're off a mini bye?
Week 13.
Yeah, I'm not doing
Mini
that.
bye? I don't think so.
I
I
think.
didn't do that one.
I think.
I mean, they
Denver
are at
gets
home.
it.
They are at home.
I think Pittsburgh at home takes it. They play within 3 weeks of each other. I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to lose to a football team and then lose to him again.
Yeah, no, I had the Steelers.
So they
beating
split
them.
there.
Yeah.
I do think they beat the Chiefs,
That's
but
what I
then
had, too.
they lose three. They lose out. They lose to Cincy, lose to Miami, and lose to Baltimore.
See, I had them beating Miami because that's Dolphins coming
They
up to
lose out.
Cleveland in Week 7.
Yeah, I had them also beating Miami because I think I have this.
I have them beating the Chiefs,
3-game
but
win streak.
losing to the Broncos. I have them beating the Chiefs and losing to the Broncos.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of choppy
And they also
for the
lose.
Dolphins at the
They
end
just have
of
a
the
rough
season.
stretch down the schedule from week 15 on. I mean,
That's true.
week 12 on, it's Steelers, Broncos, which I have a loss, and then Steelers, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Ravens. That is a tough stretch going into the playoffs.
It's a very tough stretch. It's a tough
It
stretch
is.
of games.
No, I agree.
And then I have the Bengals. I mean, they're all 11-6, but they just end up being 2-4 in the division.
The Bengals are my second place team.
Bengals
at
are your second
11
place team.
at 11-6, and then I have the Steelers coming in at third to go 10-7, and the Browns round out at 9-8. I don't think Cleveland's a bad team at all, but again, you look at that stretch trying to get, and that's when it matters most too.
Yeah.
I think they'll have a good record, be a good team throughout most of the season, but then it just gets down to that stretch where it's Baltimore's a division winner, Miami's a division winner, Kansas City's a division winner. You play Pittsburgh twice in that stretch. That is a brutal stretch to end the year trying to get into the playoffs.
Yeah,
Strip, you have the Steelers at 9-8.
I do.
How do their games round out?
I
have
do,
them at
so-
11-6, making the playoffs.
I am going 10-7.
All right, so the thing is, I had them losing on the road in Indy. That's probably one you guys.
I also
probably,
have that one.
Okay. I had them. I had the Jets. I had the Jets
Pittsburgh
beating
one.
the Steelers.
I have that one, yeah.
I actually have the Steelers winning against the Jets.
I have that one, yeah.
Okay, I have the Steelers losing to the Ravens. I have the Steelers getting swept by the Ravens. I just don't think the
have
Steelers
that.
are going to be able to hang with the Ravens. I don't
You
know.
know,
man.
Lamar Jackson is a 2-6 in
min-
his career versus Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, Pittsburgh just finds a way to win in Baltimore
Pittsburgh-
for some reason. Mike
Pittsburgh-
Tomlin knows that place so well.
Pittsburgh has had Lamar Jackson's number over that. I don't
Okay.
think they'll get swept.
All right.
I have them
Pitt-
splitting their away games.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I ain't gonna change it because that would mess up my
No,
entire
yeah,
thing. But I can understand. No, I don't think. I think the Steelers are more.
No, I mean, it very well could happen.
I think the Steelers are a 10-7, 11-6 quality team.
I
don't think these 9 wins do the Steelers justice, in my opinion.
But it's just
either.
it's a tough matchup. For the
Exactly.
season.
It's just the fact that I
They're in
took
the
into
tough
account the
division.
mini bye that the Ravens have at Week 11.
Yeah.
Especially the tough division. They have to play a road game in Philly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's
They
tough.
have to
Yeah, no,
go
they
to
got some, but I think
their schedule screwed them over.
they have an
a little
easy
bit.
schedule, I believe.
The Steelers at the
At the beginning, yeah.
At the beginning, yeah.
I have Atlanta
with a
beating
new
them.
Atlanta. I have Pittsburgh winning that one. Atlanta with new quarterback,
It's gonna be
and
an
now they both
interesting
have
week one.
both new quarterbacks.
I'm
It's
excited for
I
a
had
very
them
fun
beating the
matchup.
Falcons
But
week
then
one.
Denver's a win. The Chargers are rebuilding. I like the Steelers a lot more than I like the Colts this year. I think they beat Dallas, and then I think they get their first loss of the year when
they
Vegas
could
upsets
beat
them.
Dallas.
But
Yeah.
I have Pittsburgh starting the year out 5-0, and then they're by mid-season they're 6-2 with 2 losses to the Jets and the Raiders.
That's very possible. That's very possible.
Then once you get towards the back end of the schedule, that's when it goes. They get Washington off a bye. That should be a very favorable matchup for them. But then, you get Baltimore and Pittsburgh, at Cleveland, at Cincinnati, yet Cleveland again in Pittsburgh, at Philly, at Baltimore, Kansas City comes to town, and then you get Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's a tough
again.
schedule.
Both Cleveland and Pittsburgh having very tough stretches there to try and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I have them splitting their away games with Cleveland. I think I'm going to change that to. I think they're both winning at home. Wow, they played Cleveland pretty much back to back with Cincy in the middle, sandwiched in between.
Yeah, no, a A lot of close divisional AFC North matchups there, but
Yeah, no, it's a close division.
But consensus is Baltimore wins.
Yeah, Baltimore wins
I'd
the
say
division.
Baltimore's the
I
best
say
team.
Baltimore, has got the division.
And then is second place.
I think second place is just a toss-up. It's gonna
I think
matter
the rest
with
of the
who stays
division's a
healthy.
toss-up,
It's just gonna
honestly.
matter with who stays
Exactly.
healthy. That's what's gonna happen. It could easily be Joe Burrow goes down again and Cincinnati's out of the race.
Right.
But I feel like we should go to the NFC North now.
Okay, all right.
We're going north for north.
Little
home team
little
division.
Home team. Wait, I'll let Trip go first.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Trip. Who do you have at number one?
Number 1 is the Packers at 12-5. I also had the Lions going 12-5, but this website gave the Packers the tiebreaker there, so I guess technically I have the Packers winning the division.
All right.
I think we're a slightly better team, but based on how the schedules went, guess.
You probably lost one more game in the NFC than them.
Yeah, no, that literally did happen. It's because I had them beating the 49ers and us not. Because they're at home against the 49ers and we're not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his little love dance will come to an end when the Lions completely dismantle his franchise in the NFC Championship.
Okay.
We're gonna stay in regular season.
I also have the Packers winning the division at 12-5, and it's not because we beat the Niners. I have us losing to the Niners because I have us going 5-1 in division, and the Lions would go 3-3 in division. Yeah, three of their 5 losses come from divisional opponents, and I wish I could have them sweeping Minnesota. Just they play Minnesota at the perfect time for Minnesota to play them, coming off a bye. After a tough week at Dallas. Having to go at Dallas, they're coming off a bye. Focus a lot on Dallas. You're going to get Minnesota off a bye on the road. I think that's just a tough game for Detroit right there. Not saying Detroit can't win. Detroit could very easily smack the shit-ass Vikings. But instead, I have the Vikings winning that one. They didn't get a little break there with Tennessee. It's just a tough little mid-season stretch right here for the Lions. It goes Seahawks, bye week, Cowboys, at Minnesota, little break with the Titans coming to Detroit, at Green Bay, at Houston. That's a bit of a tough stretch right there.
I have 2 losses in that stretch. I have them losing to the Cowboys after their bye. The Cowboys are at home, but then I have them beating Minnesota. I have them taking care of the Titans, and then I have the Packers and Lions actually splitting away games this year, just like last year.
Okay.
But anything can happen, James.
No, we split. I was splitting. It's the same. It'll be the same record.
You're
Same
splitting
outcome.
home games.
Splitting home games. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think
I don't know. There's something about
we're not playing them on Thanksgiving.
There's some.
So
Yeah,
we
that's true.
can't.
There's something about my standings where I have a lot of division opponents splitting away games. I kind of liked that idea when I was doing this, but
A lot of split away games during the season.
but I have the Lions winning the division by actually 2 games, going 13-4, and the Green Bay Packers going 11-6.
So they say I'm biased, right? But Alex.
I mean, I have
He
I have
doesn't have a
nothing
team in
towards
the
anything.
race.
No, I know, but Alex has the Dolphins beating the Packers.
Well,
That
yeah,
is our
I
game
do have.
That is our game difference, right?
Yeah,
there
the
for
game
Green Bay.
difference. The game. So even if the Green Bay Packers were to beat the Dolphins, then
But the record would be the same.
Yeah,
we would
no,
agree
yeah.
on record.
yeah. But I do have the Dolphins winning in Green Bay on Thanksgiving because it wasn't last year, but it was the year before. Green Bay was playing on Thanksgiving, and it was 75 degrees and sunny. So hopefully that happens again this year, and the Dolphins can not play in the freezing cold weather where Tua is a turtle. So
Tua the turtle.
yeah, but so I have Lions at 13-4, Green Bay at 11-6, and then the division rounds out at Chicago at 6-11, and then the Vikings at 5-12.
Yeah, no.
Kind of the same thing. You have the
Just-
Chicago 7-10.
Yeah, Chicago 7-10. I like their additions. They had a really good offseason.
Yeah,
I
no,
just think
great
you gotta
offseason.
take into account that Caleb Williams is the rookie
Is a
starting
rookie.
quarterback.
Roma
and
Dunze is a rookie too.
Roma Dunze's a rookie.
Learning behind great receivers.
You just
awesome
gotta hope
receivers.
your defensive moves that you made last season that can translate over this year. They also added Kevin Byard to the defense, who is older now, but will bring a veteran presence to that defense. I just kind of think It's a nice early schedule, so I think early success will be shown. It just gets a little tough towards the stretch. I mean, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit, that is 3 division opponents in 3 back-to-back weeks. And then you just get to bounce it with the 49ers, and then Minnesota again, and then the Seahawks, and then Detroit again, and then Green Bay again. So you're playing 6 division opponents. You're playing all 6 of your divisional games from week 11 on. And in that stretch, they don't give you a break either. They just give you the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
2 teams that could very easily be playoff teams. Like I said, I think they're stretched early, which bodes well for the Bears with young rookie quarterbacks. And then you hope the team can kind of ride that momentum in towards the second half of the season. But it's weird. It's weird how they did the Bears' schedules, giving them all 6 of their division opponents from week 10 on. So they're... Like 6 of their last 8 games will be their division opponents.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting schedule for the Bears. You have them at 8 and 9.
Yeah, I do have the Bears at 8 and 9. I really believe in their young core. Unfortunately, I believe the Bears will come along quicker than some people expect. I don't believe that they're gonna win the division this year. I don't think they're gonna have a winning record this year. But their schedule is more favorable to that of some of their division counterparts because they were a lower seed last season, so they have been gifted that. But I believe this Bears team will come along more during the second half of the season, and I think they'll finish with a solid record. And then the Vikings, I also have at 5 and 12.
Yeah,
just kind of a down year. 5 and 12. Yeah, it's kind of a down year for the Vikings. I like their draft. I mean, if J.J. McCarthy is their guy and he can succeed in that system, then that's just a great draft pick already. Yeah. And then the aggressiveness with trading up to go get Dallas Turner to kind of round out your defense with Jonathan Grenard on the other side is good. Considering you lost Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith is aging, Patrick Peterson is also aging back there in the cornerback group. So it's just a lot of pieces there moving for the Vikings, especially on the defense getting older. So getting a nice young piece in Dallas Turner, who can be a franchise edge rusher, Roll Tide. Unfortunately, has to go to the Vikings. And then Detroit gets Terrion Arnold there as well to back up their secondary. So Roll Tide.
It's going to be an interesting division this year.
It's going to be a fun division.
It's going to be strong.
I think Detroit wins. I think when it's all said and done, I think it will ultimately be Detroit coming out on top with the division. But a 12-5 tiebreaker, and it goes to the Green Bay Packers, and they win the division again is very, very possible.
It's possible.
It's possible.
It wouldn't surprise me in an instant if this team was just ready to get the Lombardi.
So that rounds out the North for both conferences. Let's go north to south. Let's go back to the AFC. Let's go to my AFC South.
All right, so the AFC South.
What do you guys have, Trip? What do you have as your number 1 in the AFC South?
All right, so the Texans, they had a very, very strong finish to last year, as we all saw right in front of our eyes. C.J. Stroud had one of the most impressive seasons out of a rookie quarterback that we've ever seen. Yeah. I have them winning the division at 12-5 this year. Okay. I think they're going to be a team that no one should sleep on. I think the squad is a Super Bowl contender when you add Stephon Diggs. Because when you really think about that, Nico Collins is now wide receiver 2. Tank Dell is wide receiver 3.
Coming back from an injury as well.
Yeah. And you have another year of development for C.J. Stroud. And then you're adding Joe Mixon because you felt like it.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, no, I also have
scary squad, man.
Texans winning the division. I have them at 10-7.
10-7.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a feeling that they're gonna have a little sophomore slump because like a lot of their, like you said, they're the young core, and Tank Dell and C.J. Stroud are both sophomores this year. So I think maybe a little. They still win the division, but like comfortably by 3 games. But I think that they'll have like a little bit of a sophomore slump.
I got them going 12-5. I think a team that was working with less added more is gonna. It's hard for me to say they slump.
No, yeah. I mean, it's still.
I could see it happening. Sophomore slumps happen, but I think 12-5. The Texans up there fighting for that 1 seed. I have them as my 3 seed in the AFC, but they are just going to be such a fun team to watch offensively and then defensively as well to add alongside Will Anderson Jr. They added Daniil Hunter.
Yeah.
So I think the moves they made kind of separates and puts the Houston Texans into that upper echelon tier of we're next in line for a Super Bowl and representing the AFC whenever the Chiefs decide to have an off year.
That's a possibility, yeah.
Not be the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But I don't have anyone else in the division making the playoffs at
Neither
all.
do
I
I.
got the I think the Jags would be the next likely team, but I just have them unfortunately missing out on a wild card spot at 9-8.
Yeah, I also have them in the second place system.
And then with the Colts, it's like, can Anthony Richardson still be that guy? We don't know if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
I don't think they added enough on defense to necessarily propel this team over the top to even be a playoff team. So I have them at 7-10. I know they were fighting for the division last year, but I don't think I think the Texans will just be up here this year. Like I said, they won't really leave anyone. So I have them going 7-10, and I think the Titans are in kind of full on tank mode. Weird off season, adding L'Jarius Sneed and Tony Pollard, but like if Will Levis is their guy, then my prediction is wrong. They will not be 4-13.
Yeah, I have them at 6-11. I have them just kind of being kind of mid.
Yeah, I have them 5-12. I'm right in the middle of you guys.
Yeah.
So
What about your second place?
yeah, I'm interested to see what you think about the Jags.
I have the Jags and Colts both at 8-9.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, I have Jags 7-10, Titans 6-11.
To me, they're both just kind of, those middle of the road teams.
Mhm.
They have a lot of talent, but coming along with those talent are a lot of question marks. And so, some good, some bad, and then you just end up smack dab in the middle, about closest to 500 you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that rounds up the AFC South. Let's go to the NFC South, James. Who do you have winning the AFC South?
It is the Atlanta Falcons at 9-8. I'm not as high on the Falcons
9-8.
as you guys are.
All right.
I think that it's the best team in the NFC South, which isn't really saying much. I
Yeah.
still think the team has a lot to work on. There's still a lot of missing pieces on this team. I don't know if Drake London can be necessarily a wide receiver 1 yet, but now that could be on quarterback play. I think I could see him breaking out and taking the next step. Same with Kyle Pitts. He's hyped up as he's the highest drafted tight end ever, and they didn't use him right now. That could be a lot on Arthur Smith, so it'll be interesting to see how they use that.
Fantasy football terrorist
Yeah.
Arthur Smith.
Bijan Robinson, another player who, again, they drafted so high, just haven't used. This year they have a chance to really boost the defense, and they go with Michael Penix after giving Kirk Cousins all of this guaranteed money. They booked themselves
It's a
into a
questionable move.
lose-lose situation. Because if Kirk Cousins is good and does good things for the franchise, Michael Penix never sees the field, and you wasted the 8th overall pick.
Could be trade capital, though.
Could be, but
Could
if you're
be.
a team, you're seeing Michael Penix, a team that's had injury history, is now like 28 years old and still hasn't seen the field. Are you willing to trade a high draft pick on such a big risk?
Yeah,
I
guess it just
I don't know if
depends
teams
on.
will see if the reward is worth the risk there.
Yeah, maybe it might just depend on the system of whoever's looking for a quarterback in that time. Trip. What about you?
I have the Falcons also winning the division. I have them at 11-6, but I could definitely take a game away and make them 10-7. I think 11-6 might be a touch too high.
I have them at 11-6.
But I think our verdicts on the team are still the same. I think they're definitely going to improve by upgrading from Desmond Ridder to Kirk Cousins. I think, regardless of what you think about Kirk Cousins, that's an obvious
still an upgrade. It's
No,
still
and
an
I-
obvious
and
upgrade.
viable option.
9 wins is probably
Behind.
still a little low for Atlanta, but they just it's a tough first 3 weeks for Kirk Cousins to try and get it down. Mike Tomlin defense, Philly, Kansas City.
That is rough.
it's a tough opening.
I have them
3
starting
weeks.
0-3. I don't have them winning a single one of those games.
I have them
I
just winning
personally.
against the Steelers.
I have them beating the Chiefs.
Oh,
I think that's
okay.
one of the losses that Kansas City suffers this year is to the
Okay.
Chiefs. So they get a win versus the Chiefs, but then, they split with the Saints. Carolina takes a game from them. They drop one to Seattle. They drop one to Dallas. And then my upset down the stretch, which I could probably give Atlanta and have them at 10-7, but I think Washington at home beats them. I think Washington at home steals a game from Atlanta. I think Jaden Daniels and the boys get things cooking out there in D.C. by week 17. They're a good enough team to beat Atlanta.
Yeah.
Who is 9-8?
I have Tampa Bay actually sweeping the Falcons, yet losing the division by 2 games. And now that you say you have the Saints splitting with the Falcons, I had the Falcons sweeping the Saints, but I could probably give them their home game back, but they would still win the division. Yeah, I have Tampa at 9-8, sweeping the Falcons, but they go 5-1 in the division. Their only loss in division is Week 6 against the Saints at home. But Tampa coming off a playoff appearance last year with Baker Mayfield and having some additions and losses in the offseason. I can go to Tampa.
No, yeah, I mean, their biggest thing was keeping Mike Evans around and keeping Baker Mayfield around.
Which they got it done.
They succeeded in both of those aspects. And then in the draft, they went with Graham Barton, trying to start up the offensive line, especially since Ryan Jensen retired. So there's their new center. But I actually have Tampa Bay missing the playoffs at 7-10.
7-10.
I think it's kind of my bold prediction this year. I think they got to play a first place schedule. Won the division, so I think having a bit of a harder schedule in there, having to go at Detroit is rough. They have to play Philadelphia. They have Baltimore, San Francisco, and Kansas City all on the schedule, along with having to go at Dallas. It's a tough schedule for a team, to me, that didn't really bolster up as much as you would have liked them to coming off a playoff run. Again, their biggest
additions were Jordan Whitehead, Bryce Hall, and Sua Opeta.
I mean, now adding to the secondary was fine, but you also got to admit they lost Carlton Davis.
Shaq Barrett.
They lost Shaq Barrett. They lost Devin White. They lost a lot on this defense. They didn't necessarily lose a lot on offense, and I think they did a good job at keeping the offense the same. But I think the defense this year was such a strength for them. I think losing all those pieces on defense, I just think Tampa Bay ultimately misses the playoffs due to that. And I think Atlanta getting way better and the rest of the NFC around them getting better. Chicago got better. Green Bay got better. Detroit got better. The Rams got better.
Even Philadelphia, they got better.
I mean, the Panthers. The Panthers in their division got better. So, I mean, Carolina's not going to be an easy sweep for them anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually have a competitive roster built up, but... Yeah, no, I have Tampa at 7-10.
Where do you got Tampa? What's your idea on Tampa? 9-8?
Tampa, I also have it 9-8. I know they lost a couple of defensive pieces. I do think just by product of their division, they're gonna get some games based off of that. But I think they beat the bad teams they play, lose to the good teams they play, and that's where they ended up.
Yeah, you have Saints and Panthers like me.
I have the Saints at 7-10. I feel like that's a good ballpark for them. That's about what they do. The Panthers I have pretty low at 2-15, but I think the Panthers are gonna win more than 2 games.
Whoa.
I think they're gonna sneak. I think they're gonna. They could take a game from Atlanta.
I think Carolina is a much better team than they were last year. I am at 5-12. I'm at 3-14. They were 3-14 last year, and they improved. Their roster only got better.
Yeah, I know. Let me look at these games. I have.
I have the Saints at 8-9.
Yeah,
that's kind of mid, but
yeah.
No, I think Carolina. I mean, I'm not saying they're this great playoff team, but I think 2 and 3 wins a little low. I think Carolina might be one of those sneaky teams that, especially if Bryce Young does take another step in his development. I am at 5 wins. I am going 3-3 in division, like I said. So I think.
Yeah, I would definitely find spots to bump them up a couple because I really do like the additions that the Panthers made in the offseason.
I think the Panthers were one of the winners
they did
of the
really
offseason.
good. I do too. I think they did a really good job. I think that front office is putting in a sincere effort to try and surround Bryce Young with a little bit of something.
I mean, the receiving core now goes from Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo and that's it to like Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, and Deontay Johnson with Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo can now be their 4.
Yeah, and
Hopefully
Adam
use
Thielen
him right.
doesn't have the one
Adam Thielen doesn't need
responsibilities.
to be a 1 in the year of 2024.
Well, yeah. But yeah,
It's just kind of ultimately.
So we have
kind
Atlanta.
Kind of a mid division.
Yeah, but we have Atlanta. We all agree on Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, Atlanta and Houston.
Yep, Atlanta and Houston rounds out your South. Now let's look at the AFC again. We'll go with the AFC East and my Dolphins.
Well, it's your division, Alex. You
Yeah.
kick things off. Let's see who's winning it.
Well, unbiasedly, no, I'm kidding. I have the Dolphins winning the division. I have them tying with the Jets, both of them going 12-5. I just have the Dolphins sweeping the Patriots. I think the Patriots grab. Oh, actually, I think the Patriots are actually 0-6 in the division, but I have in division. Now, yeah, I mean that's just how it shaped up when I did the standings, but I have the Dolphins tiebreaker at 4-2 in the division, and I have us sweeping the Patriots, and I have us going 1-1, splitting games with the Bills and the Jets. But my big losses, I have us losing in week 3 to the Seahawks. I think that us going to the Seahawks might give us a little bit of trouble.
So the farthest travel trip by any team in the NFL is the Seattle,
bottom right
Miami.
to top left of America. And then I think we have a good couple games. We go to our bye at week 6, come off of our bye and beat the Colts. Beat the Cardinals in week 8, and then we have our first game against the Bills in Buffalo, which I think we lose against the Bills in week 9. But then we have a couple, you could say, easy games. We have the Rams, the Raiders, and the Patriots, and then that's that big game on Thanksgiving night against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. I hope that it's 75 degrees and sunny.
It's gonna be cold,
but it could very well be frigid cold. But depending on the weather, I think if it happens last year, we could do the we could beat the Packers if it's 75 degrees and sunny. But it is going to be nighttime, so we're gonna hope that it's warmer weather. And then I have us beating the Jets before losing to the Texans in Houston. Houston is off a bye, so that's a hard game to go and win in Houston. I have us beating the 49ers at home. We had to go to San Francisco 2 seasons ago, and we got absolutely destroyed. But I think us having that really unfair advantage at home with the sunny sidelines for the away teams. It's pretty much a 20-degree difference. It's like 80 degrees on the sideline for us and like about 100 for the opponents. So I think we can get it done in San Francisco. And then we have 2 away games to round out the season against Cleveland, and Cleveland's off a mini bye. I think we have a tough time on that game. And then week 18, it's for the division, but regardless, I have the Jets beating us in week 18, but we still win the division off the tiebreaker. Yeah. What do you guys got?
Yeah, I have Miami winning at the division at 12-5. I got the Jets coming in at 11-6. I think they get Aaron Rodgers back. I like the moves they made along the offensive line. Adding Tyron Smith was a big piece. Drafting Olu Fashanu as well. So I like the moves that the Jets made along the offensive line. I think their defense is just one of the best defenses in the NFL.
It could be the best defense in the NFL.
The board, it's just talent.
It could be.
Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams, C.J. Mosley, Sauce Gardner,
even
DJ
Quincy
Reed,
Williams.
Quincy Williams. I mean, just a star-studded defense. You throw Aaron Rodgers in. I don't even think Aaron Rodgers needs to be a top 5 quarterback in the league for the Jets to make the playoffs.
He just
even
needs
if he's
to
just
play.
serviceable, he just needs to play.
play.
Best ability is availability. If that man is available, the Jets will have a good quarterback on their roster and someone that can lead them to end their 13-year playoff drought.
Yeah.
And then I got the Bills going 8-9.
I have the Bills going 11-6 and just making the playoffs.
I have the Bills going 8-9. I think when you lose Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs and Curtis Samuel's now your wide receiver 1. I like that James Cook is your running back. Him and Josh Allen, good run game. Defensively, they lost Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White. Von Miller's only getting older. Ed Oliver's contract is going to be coming up soon. Matt Milano. I mean, it's just the defense got a lot worse to me. It's only getting older.
And their whole wide receiver core is gone.
They do not have Gabe Davis anymore. That means Khalil Shakur is still staying, but he's just been a wide receiver 3 deep threat. We don't know if he can step up into that role. They drafted Keon Coleman to hopefully be the new wide receiver 1. We'll see if that works out. But to me, it just looks like Buffalo got a lot worse. They didn't add anyone on the defensive side.
They didn't.
They drafted receiver with their second, in the second round was their first pick.
Mm-hmm.
Just not a great offseason for Buffalo, and I think the team's going to ultimately take a step back because of it. The Jets got better as well in division. The Bengals are getting Joe Burrow back. Cleveland's going to be a tough team. Pittsburgh, the entire AFC North is going to be tough. And you have Kansas City out west. It's just, Houston's going to be good now. Jacksonville, you're going to have to watch out for because they could sneak into the playoffs. You can see
they're a
Trevor
sneaky
Lawrence.
team.
Buffalo, to me, probably had one of the worst off seasons in the AFC. And so I think the team's just going to take a step back, miss the playoffs. And they're going to go 8-9.
I don't have them missing the playoffs just because I have huge gaps in the other divisions. We have a 13-4. We'll get to the West in a bit, but yeah, just huge gaps in the other divisions to let Buffalo sneak in at 11-6. Tripp, how's your AFC East?
All right, so I have the Jets winning the division at 12-5. I made this prediction under the assumption that Aaron Rodgers plays like a good quarterback.
75% or more of the season.
Exactly.
75% of Aaron Rodgers.
If Aaron Rodgers provides not an MVP, a good NFL season, I think the Jets can go 12-5
and win the division.
I have the Dolphins following closely behind at 11-6 because their end of the season road stretch is brutal. If you look at those teams at Houston, 49ers off a mini bye is shambled, and then you got to go at Cleveland and then at
Jets.
Both of those are probably going to be cold.
In that too, it's at Green Bay, and you play the Jets.
Yeah, it's this five game home
rough.
or
that
6
final
game
stretch is
6 game stretch is at Green Bay, at home against the Jets, at Houston, at home against the Niners, at Cleveland, and at the Jets.
Oof.
You guys definitely got set up for failure by the schedule.
We got a schedule test. We got to perform against the test.
That is true.
The NFL is testing our team.
Kind of like the Dolphins we've seen throughout
we
the
have
past
some of the most
where
primetime games. I think we have the second most primetime games. We're tied with a bunch of teams.
Yeah,
but I think one team has.
I think we're all tied.
Yeah, all
of us
we're all
tied.
tied.
And then it's just the Cowboys with that extra
Chiefs,
one.
and
Just
the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs have an extra one. Yeah,
that makes sense.
They have 6.
And then I have the Bills coming in at 9-8, third. Signs are, like you said, not pointing the right way. They lost a lot on that roster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give Josh Allen the benefit of the doubt and say they go, a little bit over 500, but they lost so much of that core. And then I have the Patriots at 3-14. I think it's gonna take a while for Drake May to settle in. If they even start him right away, they might have Jacoby Brissett, come in right off the bat.
Yeah.
But I think by the end of the season, they're going to start to group together a little bit more and start to figure things out. And I think they, have sort of the Panthers season, pretty much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have the Patriots at 13-4. I have them 0-6 in the division.
I got them 6-11.
Is questionable,
Okay.
very questionable.
Drake May is the best QB in the class for me.
Yeah, Caleb Williams is mine.
I see a lot of, okay.
I mean, this is...
All right. I see a lot of Justin Herbert in Drake May to the point where if they fix the footwork, I think the arm talent and accuracy is there. So I think you just get the fundamentals down, and you got a hell of a quarterback in Drake May. And
so ceiling of 0 playoff wins. That's what we want. Ceiling of 0 playoff wins.
NFC East time.
Yeah, NFC West, or East, my bad, I'm sorry. The NFC East, I have the Eagles at 11-6, winning the division and getting the 3rd seed in the NFC.
Hey, I have the Eagles winning the division at 11-6 and getting the 3rd seed in the NFC.
Wow!
And I have the Eagles at a generous 14-3 because their schedule situation looks like a piece of cake.
Wow, 14-3. All right.
We can go through that.
Why are we so
explain.
high on Philly, Trip?
It's not necessarily that I think that Philly is actually better than San Francisco because I don't. Let me explain. Week 1 at home they win. Week 2 at home they win.
They're not at home. They're in Brazil.
They are not at home. They are in Brazil.
Fair enough, but I still think they're gonna win
They
because
could win.
They're better.
No.
They're better. I'm sorry. Week 2 they win. Week 3 they beat the Saints.
They had a great.
Week 4 they win the Buccaneers.
Save it.
Week 5 they're coming off of a bye and they're playing a home game that they win, and then they're gonna smack the Giants around before taking their first loss of the season in Cincinnati, and then they're gonna come back home and annihilate the Jaguars because they're mad probably. Then they're gonna go to Dallas and lose to the refs before coming back and beating Washington, and then they have a mini bye, so they're gonna beat the Rams. They're gonna lose to the Ravens on the road before beating the Panthers and the Steelers at home, and then they're gonna beat the Commanders, and then they're gonna get revenge on the Cowboys at home, and then they have the Giants, and that's how we get to 14-3 for the Philadelphia Eagles. I rest my case.
I have them splitting with Washington.
I also
this year.
am splitting with Washington.
I think that's fair enough.
I think they split with.
Like
New
I
York.
said, it's a generous 14-3.
Yeah, I pretty much have the same. I pretty
But I
much
think
have the
it's
same thing.
defendable.
I have them splitting with New York.
I have a slight upset.
I think it's defendable.
I think they lose to Green Bay in Week 1. I think Green Bay comes out firing in this new offense.
That's possible.
I think the new secondary and young secondary of Philadelphia won't be able to keep up with Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers offense. Oh, just adding
the
Josh
young
Jacobs
secondary
as well.
that won't be able to keep up with the youngest team. Got it.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, rookies playing their first ever NFL game. We saw how young the Packers were and how crap they were to start the year when they were learning how to play football in the NFL. So
Yeah,
I mean,
think
I
that's
feel
a
like
fair-
you
I think
also
that's a-
have
I think
rookies
that's a
playing
fair
their
point.
first
I
NFL
think that's a
game.
fair point. Yeah.
Jordan Morgan's also having
I
his
don't
first
know if
NFL
Jordan
game
Morgan.
guarding.
I don't know if Jordan Morgan's going to start on the offensive line.
Okay, so who's blocking Jalen Carter?
Elton Jenkins.
Yes.
I don't know why we're not acting like Elton Jenkins hasn't been one of the best offensive linemen in football for the past few
Let's
years.
look at this defensive line.
But
Not gonna cut against Jalen Carter. Not big enough.
okay.
Matchup wise, it ain't
Elton
gonna work.
Jenkins won against Aaron Donald. Okay, I don't know what your point is. He beat Aaron Donald every time they squared off.
The Eagles D line with him and now
Jalen Carter is now Aaron Donald.
No,
you hearing
but
this?
you want to look at this.
Listen,
D-line,
it's-
this man.
I mean,
That's not what the podcast is about. We're
I'm
trying
just saying.
Montez
Listen,
Sweat,
I'm just saying.
Graham,
We'll
Jalen
see.
Carter, and Bryce Huff, and you
We'll
think
see.
you're gonna guard all of them in week 1 right off the bat?
Listen, it's a toss-up.
Definitely.
Either
just-
team could easily win the game. It's a big toss-up. It's either team could win the game, or the citizens of Brazil could blow the entire stadium to the ground, and then we won't have an Eagles or a Green Bay Packers to talk about. So, with saying that, who do you have in second place in that division, Trip?
Dallas at 11-6 because they're going to be gifted virtually every home game, and then they're gonna lose in the first round again.
Okay, I have Dallas 2 at 9-8.
I got Dallas at 10-7.
Yeah, I have them losing a couple home games. I actually have the Saints getting an upset in Dallas. That could actually easily change, but we can come back to that. Yeah, I mean,
I have Dallas losing to Detroit at home. Detroit coming off a bye. I have them losing to the Niners. I have them losing to the Texans, the Commanders, and the Eagles.
I have them
Ravens.
beating. I have a lot of opposites. I have them beating Detroit, beating the Texans, losing to Atlanta, losing to San Francisco, losing to the Steelers, splitting with the Giants this year, which actually could easily not happen, but splitting with the Eagles this year. Yeah, a couple different ones, but still around that 9-8, 10-7 area.
Yeah, and then, closing out, it's just Washington 6-11. They got Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback. It's going to be a young team. I think they'll show flashes. He'll show flashes in there. He'll get a couple wins, but 6-11. And then, to me, the Giants are like the worst team in the league. I know they had Brian Burns and Malik Neighbors, so I don't think the defensive side for the Giants necessarily going to be that bad. But I don't know what Malik Neighbors is necessarily gonna do when you still have Daniel Jones back there at quarterback, who can't necessarily stay healthy, and you lost a big part of what made Daniel Jones so successful, which was running the ball and running it with Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is no longer there anymore, so
actually an Eagle now.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's an
the
Eagle
Eagles'
now.
offense gets better, but I have him at 3-14.
Yeah, I have 6-11 for Washington and 3-14 for the Giants.
5-12 for Washington and 2-15 for the Giants.
Yeah, so basically Giants are the worst team in football. I have them basically the same thing as the Patriots.
The Broncos, but we can get to the West.
Yeah, we can get to
That's
the West now. We have the AFC West. I think we can agree that the Chiefs are definitely the number one team in the AFC West.
Yeah, Chiefs, and the Chiefs are going 6-0 in division.
This is horrid.
And,
I have them 4-2 in division, but
you telling me one of these teams is able to steal one?
I've talked to a lot of Chiefs fans, and actually the Broncos have their number whenever the Chiefs come to Denver. The Broncos for some reason, the Chiefs cannot win in that climate.
The Chiefs just were on a 7-year winning streak against the Broncos.
Yeah,
they just had their first. No, it was overall. It was like us and the Bears. They just could not beat the Chiefs at all.
Alec told me that the Broncos have their number.
That's not been true.
Yeah, I don't know why he told me that.
Literally the exact opposite.
I don't know why he told me that.
No, listen. The Chiefs are good. The rest of the division is not that good. I mean, I could maybe see the Chargers doing something, being a surprise 7 seed in the AFC with Justin Herbert coming back, but they lost Keenan Allen. They lost Mike Williams. New head coach in Harbaugh, so that'll be. I think that'll work. I like their draft pick in Joe Alt, but just to me, the Chargers going 7-10. They're just kind of be mid. They'll just kind of be there. I think they'll need another year of getting more draft picks in there, rebuilding up this core around Justin Herbert. I think they're doing it right, and that's kind of building from the trenches. It's kind of what we saw Harbaugh do at Michigan, so I think that's what we're seeing him do now, and I think that pick with Joe Alt kind of solidifies that. Also bringing in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Again, building up kind of a ground and pound style of run game will work with Quentin Johnson on the outside being their current wide receiver 1 along with Josh Palmer. So, I mean, they drafted Roman Wilson in there. So, I mean, there are weapons there that I could see going out there and making a chance. But, and then it's just 2 of the worst teams in the NFL are in the same division. And to me, that's the Raiders and the Broncos. I kind of got the Raiders going 4-13 with kind of either being Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. There's not much on this team to like except for their D-line and receiving core. It's just Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby, and then the receiving core it's like Michael Gallup and Devontae Adams. So, and they drafted Brock Bowers, and they lost Josh Jacobs. So the run game's gonna suffer. I don't. There's not a lot to like looking at Vegas. And same with Denver as well. Lost Justin Simmons. I mean, he's still a free agent. Bo Nix is now QB1, so it's just not a lot to like here at the bottom half of the AFC West.
I'm assuming you have the same?
Yeah, I have the Chiefs at 13-4, and they mollywop everyone, and then the Chargers win 6 games. I think Jim Harbaugh, probably has a slow start like, teams usually do when a first-year head coach comes and runs the organization.
Yeah.
But then I'd imagine they'd start to pick up speed, and he'd start to get more connected with Justin Herbert and the offense throughout the system. And then the Raiders go 3-14 because they have no quarterback, and the Broncos go 2-15 because they also have no quarterback.
Yeah.
Actually, they have 3 of them, but none of them are good enough to play.
Yeah.
So,
still yet to be seen on Bo Nix. I mean,
Bo Nix is just a huge question mark.
Bo Nix,
as of right now,
Bo
he can't
Nix
play because
is probably the most pro-ready QB that is there just because he played so much in college. So, but yeah, 3-14, they're not bad.
Sort of.
They're not bad. So let's go to the NFC West.
NFC West is...
And I have the bane of my existence, 49ers.
Go ahead.
49ers, they're winning the division.
What games are they losing?
The interesting one. So I think they'll split with Seattle. I think Seattle will take a game from them in Seattle. I think Buffalo gets them off a bye week in Buffalo. I think Buffalo gets one. And then I think it's Miami. Miami getting one in Week 16
at home.
In Miami. I think Miami gets that victory, and that leads us with
13
and 4.
My 4 losses are, I feel that the San Francisco 49ers go 6-0 to start off the year, and then they have the Chiefs. Chiefs coming off a bye.
Yes.
It's in San Francisco.
That's my 4.
In Week 7, I think the Chiefs get it done, and then they get a couple more wins. They have their bye in there at Week 9. They beat the Packers in Week 12. They beat the Bills in Week 13. They beat the Bears in Week 14. Rams in Week 15, and then they lose to the Dolphins in Week 6. Or Rams in Week 15, and then they lose to the Dolphins in Week 16. And then they get I think this is going to be a really good game, the rematch of the NFC Championship between the Lions and the 49ers. And then I feel like the 49ers are going to be so far ahead of their division that they play all their backups against the Cardinals in Week 18, and they lose to the Cardinals.
Could see that happening. Yeah, no, I mean, Niners are good.
Yeah, no, they're really good.
Good team.
All right. I have the Niners also at 13 and 4. I have them dropping Week 3 to the Rams. Division rival, and Sean McVay appears to know what he's doing a lot of the time. Week 8 they lose to Dallas because Christian McCaffrey just had 80% of their total production in their win against Kansas City the previous week, and he's tired, so they lose that game. But then they come off a bye, and then they go into Tampa and they win. And then they lose to Seattle coming off their bye, also a divisional matchup.
Okay.
And then they go to Green Bay and lose before coming back and then winning out.
Would love to see that.
Basically winning out, even beating the Dolphins
Winning
in
out.
Miami.
Yeah, they win out. They're, yeah.
All right. That's...
Yeah. Good team. Looking to get a Super Bowl. Looking to finally get that Super Bowl. In second place,
Yeah.
I have the Rams.
Yeah, I
Going in at
also have the
7.
Rams.
10 and 7.
I have them at 9 and 8, tied with the Seattle Seahawks. They go 3 and 3 in the division. Seattle only wins 2 games in the division.
See, I also have Seattle and the Rams tie, except my
They're at 10 and
Seahawks
7.
are 10 and 7. Pete Carroll retiring, it's going to bring a lot of question marks. I think that'll probably lead to a slow start for the Seattle Seahawks, and then just looking at their schedule is going to be, they kick things off with Denver, New England, the kind of easy opponents start off, two rookie quarterbacks to start things off. But then you get Miami, then you get Detroit, a little tougher schedule, the Giants, the Niners, Falcons. It's going to be interesting for Seattle this year, first year without Pete Carroll. We'll see if their offense takes another step back like it did this year with Geno Smith still being their quarterback. They still don't really have a long-term answer there at the position. And defensively, they got better. But, the linebacker lost a lot of linebacking depth with Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner. So, then their secondary is Devon Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen back there in corner, kind of locking it down. It just kind of depends on if their offense can get back to that 2021 form. If not, and they continue to take that step back, kind of like we saw last year and towards the end of last year, I think it could be trouble for Seattle. 10 and 7 is not a bad team. It's just this is a much different NFC than it was last year. It's where it's kind of going to be more competitive. There's going to be more playoff teams, higher win number total. I know this year we had teams that were like 6 wins were a 7 seed in the NFC this year. So it was. I think it'll be a more competitive NFC. It'll be a lot better of an NFC. So I think 10 and 7 won't get you into the playoffs anymore. And Seattle does get 10 wins, but will not be in the playoffs. They are my 8 seed.
Yeah.
All right, so I have the Rams sneaking into the playoffs at 10 and 7, but they are the 7th seed. Seattle goes 9 and 8, 1 game behind them, and just misses out. And then the Cardinals go 5 and 12. I think they show some improvement with Kyler Murray coming back. I don't think it's going to be as smooth as maybe they want to, but I think it's going to slowly start to, come back along because it has been so long since Kyler Murray's played consistent football. Yeah. So it's going to take him time to get reacclimated to the new, system installations and his new teammates as well.
Yeah. I have the Cardinals at 4 and 13. I agree. I think Kyler Murray coming back is a huge plus for them, but I just feel that they need a couple more. I mean,
Yeah,
they need a year or two to like recuperate and like get Marvin Harrison going, and he's going to be a huge plus for that offense.
Yeah, Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a very fun combo to watch, especially with James Conner kind of being there in that backfield. I still have the Cardinals going 5-12.
Yeah,
just kind of, it's going to be another rough year, another year of rebuilding, and then who knows? Maybe that sparks up the future conversations about Kyler Murray's future in Arizona.
Yeah, when is his contract up?
They signed him to an extension already, but this would be entering year 6 in Arizona, and still with not a single playoff win.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But that'll be interesting to see.
Number 1 pick in 2 different sports, baseball and football.
Very interesting career with Kyler Murray.
Very interesting.
He's very good at Oklahoma.
So to round out the divisions, we got Kansas City. Miami is both of our 1 seeds. The Jets are your 1 seed for the AFC East. So tiebreaker goes to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
The first place in the AFC North. We all have the Ravens, right?
Yeah. South
is the Texans.
Houston, yeah.
Houston Texans, and then the 49ers for the West. And
we both have the Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys both have the Packers.
So
I have the Lions. So tie goes to the Packers.
Tie goes to the Packers. Yeah.
Lions close behind. Eagles win out the NFC East.
Yep.
All right,
Eagles win the NFC East, right?
Yes, they do.
You have the Eagles, the 1 seed.
I do.
Yeah.
Niners are my 1 seed.
Yeah, Niners are my 1 seed. But your NFC South is the Falcons, right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Falcons, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All similar.
All similar. They're all, it's going to be a really interesting season.
It's going to be a fun, very fun
This
season.
is going to be one of the
season.
better seasons I think we've seen. We have some great divisions. The AFC North, the AFC East, the NFC North, NFC West.
Yeah, I kind of like
maybe
how...
the NFC East.
I like how, like, the Houston division and, like, the Atlanta division...
NFC South.
Like, they're kind of, like, grouped in these, like, lower tier, kind of maybe younger teams. Like, I mean, Tampa Bay's not really that young, and Tennessee's not young, but... I mean, these 2 teams, Tennessee and Indianapolis, both have young quarterbacks. And actually, all 4. This whole division is just a young quarterback division.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. There are our standings for the NFL 2024-2025 season. And that's going to be it for the NBL Studios podcast. I'm your host, Alex Silvers, along with my co-host, James Irvin and Trip Duma. And we will catch you in the next one. Yeah, that's it.
We win. All right. Cool.
Hopefully that shit didn't die.
All right.
Please. It's still recording?
Yes.
Thank you.
We are still.